Hey yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Yo, we about to dive in with some Wayfinder, and just for the start, I see a lot of the YouTubers doing things as far as build videos and covering all the updates. Awesome. I don't like to follow suit. I don't like to make the same regurgitated information. So I'm gonna take my tech info that I know, that I went to school for, like programming, stuff like that, and I want to try to use it in my own form to try to help the developers out from more of a community uh, aspect. So what we're gonna do in this video, we're gonna basically talk about some like QOL, some things I think that would help make the game better in a way. Uh, kind of help the community out, play the game a little bit better. And yeah, so let's go ahead and log in here and go see what's going on. Now, one of the first things I do want to mention is when this game first started, the queue times were absolutely terrible. They were so terrible. I hated every moment of them. So the fact that they've cut down on the queue times is awesome. That was one of the QOLs that I definitely wanted to list, but I haven't wanted to put this video out yet, just for the sole purpose of I wanted to give it a little bit more time. I wanted them to put out more stuff. I wanted to see how the game was starting to progress since it's in early access. And now that I've kind of seen like what they're going for, what they're adding, what their roadmaps are, and so forth, now I feel like I can give a little bit of an idea and a little bit of heads up that can help them along the path of making things better. Add some certain stuff that would make this game like definitely perform better and definitely help out like the player base. By the way, the loading screens are extremely bad. Extremely bad. That's why I left this in here, because this was the first thing on the list. So, outside of the loading screens, you're gonna notice like if you try to run around, you hit so many lag spikes, and it's whenever there's like other players around, right? Now, there's two reasons for this. One reason is the networking. If you're not regional, like if your servers aren't regional, you're going to be in servers with like people from all over the place. So like if you're in the US like me, you're going to end up being put into servers with people from Japan, Africa, Europe. And what's going to cause you to start spiking like that and lagging and so forth is because you're trying to now balance in that server with all different connection types, and it's causing a lot of latency, right? A lot of latency. So, the first thing I kind of want to get into outside of that is, this has to be my, like, biggest issue with the game, and it's right in here. So, when you go into your character, and then you go over to your echoes, right? This part runs perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But the moment you click on an echo, if you pay attention to the screen, it looks like I did like I froze the game in place. I didn't. That's literally the game playing and doing that on its own. It takes so long for it to generate and to pull through and look at your list of echoes that I mean it's pretty bad. Like, see, it finally pulled my echo list, right? Obviously we're gonna have, and high cost, but that wasn't what I was bringing you for. I hit R1 just now, and there's the delay, right? It went over to there. So I'll hit L1 right now. See how I went back to all? There's a delay. That delay is nuts. Like, it's nuts. Especially, um, a couple of times it's actually crashed my console. Like, well, not the console, but like the game itself. It's crashed the game out and made my game blue screen to where I then had to log back in. So that, and that's been kind of rough. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've sat here a couple times just trying to do this alone and got tagged out and logged out for inactivity because I was sitting here waiting for this list to load. That really needs to be fixed. Now, another thing I want to suggest, like, I literally hit circle to back out of this list and it still hasn't backed out of the list. Um, alright, there it goes. It's giving me control again. I guess it didn't recognize my circle input. So, another thing I want to go ahead and say while we're in here, before I actually back out, we have like all the sort bys, and those sort bys are great. But when you start having like an abundance of these things, scrolling through becomes extremely painful. Like, extremely painful. So, what I would suggest is instead of just having like the sort by name, sort by power, because honestly, sometimes those don't even work. Let's be honest, sometimes those don't even work. Like right now, it's automatically set stock to step by name, and the names aren't even set. Right. So that's already a no, a no. But add things in there that like separate things by ability power or weapon power or crit power or crit rating. Give us a way to sort things to where we can see what we want to see. Like, we can come in here, we can go into it, and we can literally search for what we're wanting to search for. Especially with this much of abundance of options of echoes, it would really add a QOL and make it a lot easier for the player base, just for the sole purpose of like ease of use, right? It makes things a little bit quicker, so that way, if you know what you're going in for, you can literally just go in and look for it. You know what I mean? Even if you want to, you can maybe add also like a search option where you could type in the name and it'll pull up and generate whatever's within the generation. So that's a QOL. That I think would be honestly, I think that'd be great. Um, the problem that we have with the echoes is not just the fact that this thing lags so bad. Like, I'm pretty sure if you alleviated the lag out of this list, you know, it would be a little bit better. But it's still the amount of just the pure amount of echoes that are in here, right? Just the pure amount. Cycling through these is going to become a pain in the ass. Now, with DE being behind this, also, if you go and you look at DE's track record, like Warframe, when you go into their card system, every card itself has, you know, it shows its multiplicatives. So, like, if you have, you know, we'll say right here, this Husk Echo, say I have like 40 of them. It'll show me as Husk Echo, and it'll say 40, right? kind of break it down like that, or maybe add like a sub menu. So like if I see Husk Echo, I click on it, and then it shows me all the Husk Echoes right in here, and I can go ahead and just click on the one that I want, right? That would make things so much easier. I get it. It would take a lot of programming because you would have to basically like. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how much extra coding it would take. When I took C++ and I took C Sharp, programming with C Sharp, especially when working with like applications, a lot of applications were real simple. Like you could literally just like click on the open box and just add a drop down, or you can easily just type out the command to make it to where it had like a drop down on click. So I mean, you would have to like still program it to where it would respond. So if you were to implement something like that, I don't think it would happen for a while. Probably not until like release. But I do think that would be something to like help the community, just to kind of like navigate, because this is like everything right here, right? This is our bread and butter. Like this is our characters. This is our builds. Like this is where everything goes down, right? This is like the bedroom after a wedding, right? You feel me? Like this is where it's all going down. And I think it should be a little bit more fluid. Granted, the game is in early access and I do understand that, but I do think that this area needs probably the most work. Um Honestly, that's about it. Uh Kind of skeptical to see when we start getting things through here or whatever, just to kind of like push ourselves further. I'm assuming we're not going to get that until like the ascended tiers, but you know, that's nice how it is. I do like everything here. The affinities, I know that they're supposed to be fixing it to where you're supposed to be able to have 215s, I believe. I believe you're supposed to be able to have up to 215s because you can hit 30, but they need to do whatever with it. That'd be a nice fix. Um, Overall, I think the experience is absolutely terrible. I think we definitely need something to help us out with like our experience gains, because currently with us not having any access to like these resonant scrolls right here, um, the you know the first thing that came out, you guys nerfed, or they nerfed the quests, right? And a lot of feedback has gone off, and people are not very happy with that, and it's understandable. Honestly, I've been playing this same character. I've been playing Venomous for the past probably like a week now, and since I don't have any campaign left, it's excruciatingly painful trying to level her up. And the best way to level up is to go into like the highest tier, and that's where I'm going to get into the next issue. The next issue with this game is when you do go into a higher level and there's somebody that's in there farming, or they're going in there for certain things, they abandon you. Like, I will load into a game and I'll be by myself and I will have nobody join. Because as soon as I was loading in, they loaded in ahead of me. And they seen that I was like a lower level, and then they just left. The game doesn't continuously cycle people into your lobby if somebody like rage quits. So then you get kind of dicked, and then you have to go all the way back through the loading screens, and then you gotta go find another lobby, and then as soon as you find another lobby, that's like 20 minutes all by itself. Then you're gonna probably go through the same crap all over again. Look, why do we have a help section? Right? Why do we have a help section in here if the help section's kind of like jankety, right? Like if you look up top, you have the join helper queue, right? The join helper queue is awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's a great concept. But when I was on my first character, I wasn't even through the campaign yet. Like, I was nowhere near the campaign. I joined the helper queue and it put me on the final boss. I wasn't even close to that. I didn't even have this area unlocked. And it put me on the final boss. I was like, what the fuck? Like, how? But I mean, you know, you have this helper queue, but yet people rage quit. And it's insane. Right? Like, it's insane. There's no help. Like, that's not helping anybody. You know? So what I think needs to be done when it comes to, like, the experience and the grind, a lot of it needs to be fleshed out really badly. And, again, I didn't want to say anything about this until a little bit later. I know that there's probably going to be stuff worked on, you know, within now and release, but it needs to be really worked on. Like, it really needs to be worked on. Like Archaic Bones, right? Archaic Bones, I farmed these for 6 days. 6 days I sat going in and out of different dungeons whenever I had the downtime. And, you know, it would never spawn. And if it did spawn, the people that I was playing with, they would not go back. They would never go back. Like, say it spawned ahead in the dungeon. They would hit it, and then they would keep pushing forward. Like, I had one where I backtracked and I was doing the thing all by myself. And the one guy's like, hey, where'd that other guy go? And the other one's like, I have no clue. And I had to get into the chat and into the text chat, and I had to be like, you know, back here doing the Archaic Bone quest because you guys activated it, and I need these. And then they just left. Like, you know, then you have the other people who, instead of doing it solo, right? They go in, they're launching everything, and I don't blame them either. You know, you go in, you launch, you start up when trying to do like whatever you're trying to do to farm for your certain material. I mean, you farm it out, you start off, and what happens? If what you need isn't there where it's supposed to be, then you're just gonna leave. Relaunch it, it's faster, right? And when they're not doing it solo, they're doing it in queue. All they're doing is just leaving. And there are some players who are actually needing things done. Like, I've finished all the dungeons as far as, like, you know, going through and doing all the different stuff. Even after farming for certain things. Like, if I got my Archaic Bone, I didn't just leave. If I seen that it was there, or whatever, and you know, it wasn't active, like the event wasn't active, I still finished it, because I noticed that there were players joining me that were low level. We're all still trying to level up characters, you know what I mean? Some of us. Like, this is my third character that I'm working on. This is my third character. I already have one at 30. I have like 4 weapons at 30 or some shit like that. So, I mean, people automatically see like a low level and they don't want to help. And I think that the helper option that you have when joining things, I think that should specifically like target lobbies that people have like rage quit. Or people with lower levels are trying to, you know, complete. Because right now, with players just abandoning, like, the queue, or abandoning the game, just because they're farming out something in particular, like, that hurts. That hurts the player. That hurts the whole community. And again, I don't blame these players for wanting to get this stuff done, especially with how long it takes to farm out some of these materials. Like, granted, I love a farming game. Like, I will sit here and play games like this all day long. I love the grind. But grinding on stuff like this, I think there should be, like, open world. Like, this area right here alone, right, I think should have an open world like the first area. Right? I think that's how that should go. And I think the open areas both should have modifiers. You should be able to go into the open world and you should have your little modifiers where you can put on your different things, you know, like your flora and stuff like that. And then it would, like, generate the lobby into people's lobby who have that lobby set up. I think that would be a lot more helpful, because then people would be able to go in on their own and maneuver through, like, the open world rather than having to queue up. You know? Like, if somebody wants to just go out into the wild as it is, they should be able to just leave town, just like you can do down in the starter area. Go right out into the wild, and I think they should be able to go ahead and do that. I think that should be an option. Having to queue up for it every time, it kind of sucks. Like, it really does, it kind of sucks. Especially when trying to target farm certain things when farming. Now, granted, there may be changes in the future, but honestly, that's gonna break a lot of people if it hasn't already. I've gone in, I've ran through some Reddit, and I've seen what people have said about this game. And I mean, it's Reddit. Obviously, you gotta take the good with the bad. I do see people complaining about this, and you can tell that it's genuine. But then you have the assholes that are like, oh, then don't play the fucking game. You guys just want everything fucking handed to you. Like, that's literally the comments you see back, and those people are fucking retards. Right? And the reason I say that is because that's not it at all. That's not how it is. We just expect things to not be so egregious, right? Or so terrible, to say the least, right? When you go and you farm certain things in, like, World of Warcraft, granted, yes, there are things that you have to farm certain ways, but you still can get, like, abundance, right? You can go into an area and farm a boss, or, you know, a world boss or something, and it'll spawn every, like, so many minutes, right? Or you can go out there and kill certain mobs, and they'll spawn every certain amount of minutes. In here, you have to go and depend on, you know, oh, this event isn't in this world, it's not generated? Well, fuck. Well, feel bad for these randoms. Goodbye, randoms. You're on your own. And then they just bail out, and then they go, and then they have to relaunch it again. And if it's not there again, they'll leave and keep, like, rinsing and repeating. That kind of shit ruins the game. That is not farming. That is not farming. You're literally spending more time not playing the game than actually playing the game. That's all it's doing. So I think something needs to be, like, fixed there. I do think also, and this is just coming from me because I am on a controller, I don't think anybody on PC would probably have an issue. I have seen some people say that the lock-on system in this game is dog shit, and there is no lock-on system. And to me, I think that would be something nice to add on to, because on controller it gets a little bit weird, right? On controller, it gets a little awkward to where, like, if you're doing things like this, you have a lot of lunges. And when you have moving targets too, especially when you're trying to get that stupid loot goblin, when you're trying to fight the loot goblin, that thing is terrible. That thing moves faster than shit. When you're trying to melee it, you barely can hit it. Like, you need, like, a lock-on system for some of this stuff, right? And granted, there's gonna be a lot of fucking computer fanboys that are gonna come in here like, oh, get a fucking mouse and keyboard. No, fuck you. I'm not playing the fucking... I'm not gonna sit here and play the console war bullshit. If that's how you feel, just fuck off. Leave your comment down below so I can go ahead and fucking delete it. I know you're gonna end up doing it, so go ahead. But, you know, I do think we need that. And I think it would be beneficial also for mouse and keyboard as well, because then they can kind of, like, you know, relieve themselves a little bit more, because they're not trying to, like, consistently, I don't know, like, the combat feels great. It's just that when you're using certain melee weapons, or if you're trying to use, like, your, like, shooting, like, using the guns, right? I can't even tell you how many times I was using the Tempest, trying to shoot certain enemies, and when you have the lag spikes kicking in from your teammates, you have all this other stuff kicking in, man, I can't even tell you how many times I'd miss and then I'd have to be forced to reload because I wouldn't be able to hit my target. Like, it gets pretty bad, like, really bad, and, you know, I think there should be a toggle for it. I think there should be a toggle for that, for those who want it and those who don't. If people don't want it, they should have the right to go ahead and toggle it off. But I also think that, you know, for more casual players that, you know, are kind of struggling, at least in the beginning, with maintaining their characters, like, you know, attacks and stuff, I think then, you know, I think they should have, you know, an actual targeting system where you can lock on to whatever enemy it is you're trying to fight and, you know, do it that way. By the way, I didn't want this video to be as long, so my bad if it's turning out to be a long-ass video. Honestly, I think that's about it. The only other thing I would also like to notate is when you come in here, bro, like, let's be real. I am tired. I am so tired of being completely done with floor 1 and having to select floor 2. Like, if I already have the floor unlocked, like, I can go up to floor 3, right? I've been putting points in and stuff like that into floor 3, alright? See, as you can see, I got stuff in here already. And going into floor 4, right? I got stuff going into floor 4. So when you come up here, I think once you have stuff into that floor, it should spawn you at that floor when unlocking stuff, because it does get a little bit tedious. We don't have any kind of speed modifier to modify the speed of this reticle. So to me, I'm just saying it from me, I'm completely impatient. When things move too slow for me, I start getting a little bit irritated. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are the same way, you know? And I think that'd be cool. Like, make it to where, you know, it stays on the floor that you last unlocked. Or, you know, you make us the ability to where we can control where we can control the speed. And one more QOL before I go ahead and end this. Honestly, I think a little bit further back of an FOV would be nice. Um, I play on a 65-inch TV, right? I prefer it. I've played on TVs like this my whole life. I can't play on a tiny little monitor, right? Um, I always have preferred having more visual aspect, and I prefer my HUD being smaller because I have perfect 2020 vision. When it comes to my HUD, I can see what needs to be seen, even if it was like way smaller. So I wish there was a way that we could have an option to zoom out further, or have a customized option for our HUD, so that way for some of us we can go ahead and, you know, remove certain things or move certain things that we might find obstructive out of the way. Like the mini map, I would love to make that mini map smaller. Right? I would love to make that smaller, just because to me it's too large. Right? But that's, again, that's just a QOL. I think that would be really nice. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I didn't want it to be as long as it was, but as I said, I kind of wanted to do things a little bit different. I know a lot of people have been real critical on this game, and I think as a community we can help the development team out and be very verbal and give them the heads up as long as they're willing to take our advice. There's been a lot of development teams out there that don't like taking the advice of, you know, the public, the community, the people who actually play their game. And it usually turns out bad for them. And I don't mean that in, like, you know, an asshole way. It's just that usually the game will go down, you know, a bad turn. And then I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see that. So far, they've been proving that they're putting in work. They actually care about this game. They want to see it strive, and they want to see it, you know, make it. And I kind of do also. So I'm going to try to do my part every now and then when new patches come out. I'm going to try to do my part. I'm going to play it. I'm going to see how everything is. And we're going to see how some of the quality of life changes are, you know, taking place. If they implement any of them, then we'll go ahead, we'll talk about that, see how it feels, see if it's done good things for the game. And together, I think as a community, we can help the development team build a beautiful game. So, it's your boy. I love you guys. And if you got any other ideas for things that I didn't mention in here, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of the game, what characters you're playing. Let me know some QOLs that would help you out, some of the things you've gone through while playing the game. And yeah, if you guys want to watch me play the game and bullshit with me on a more full-scale level, I do go ahead and stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/godified with an underscore at the end of Godified. Should be a link somewhere on here, so click that if you're using Twitch at all. And yeah, come hang out. I love talking to my chat. I love talking about the games that I'm currently playing. And if I'm not doing anything, I'll usually play with the community also. So, but anyway, it's your boy. I love you guys. Hope you guys have a good day. And let's make this game something worthwhile, right? It's your boy. I'm out.